So for day 31 of Halloween nail designs, I am doing my Halloween nails, and this is obviously the last video for these Halloween nail designs. And for my Halloween nails, I am doing some nails based off the movie or inspired by the movie Trick or Treat. Um, so to start off, I'm taking glazed donut from Ball Pit, and I think this is Clowning Around from Nails by Dev. I am painting the three middle nails with glazed donut, and then the pinky and the thumb with the orange color. I did 2 coats on all of the nails, and I cured each coat for 60 seconds. And you can kind of see what I'm going to be doing on my left hand here. I already did it all on my right hand off camera before I started filming, because I knew it was going to take a long time, and I wanted to just go ahead and get it out of the way, and kind of finish on an easy note a little bit when doing my own set. So like I said, I am doing a set inspired by the movie Trick or Treat. I finally watched it for the first time this year. I had been, for the past few years, been wanting to watch it because every year at Spirit and just all over the internet, I always see Sam, the little character guy, little Halloween demon guy, all over the place. And I think he is so cute. He is absolutely adorable. He's just this cute little demon baby thing, and I love him. And every year during the month of October, they always put Trick or Treat on a streaming service. And I've just never watched it. I had never gotten around to it, and then this year they did have it in theaters for a couple days, but I missed doing that. And then finally I saw it was on one of the streaming services, so I sat down and watched it, and it was a weird movie. It was nothing what I was expecting it to be, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. But yeah, it definitely was not anything that I was expecting it. I went into this not knowing anything about this movie at all, other than the little Halloween demon kid. His name is Sam, and he's the main person in the movie or whatever. And that was it. I didn't know the storyline or anything that had happened in the movie, so, which was really fun to go into the movie like that. I had never seen any trailers or anything, and it was nice to go into it like that, because I think if I had any expectations of this movie, I may have been a little disappointed with it. Because, sometimes you see trailers for movies and they look really great on the parts that they're showing, but then you see the actual full movie and you're like, yeah, this movie wasn't that great. So I am kind of glad that I didn't know anything about this movie or had seen any kind of trailers or anything for it, because I don't know, depending on what the trailers were like whenever this movie came out, I potentially may have been a little disappointed. But going in not knowing anything was really nice, because I had zero expectations whatsoever. But it was weird. It did not, like I said, I'm trying not to give any kind of spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it and may want to see it. But anyone who has seen it, how this movie went. And I could not predict anything that was going to happen in this movie. And one part where it was this doesn't really tell you anything. There's this one part where it's these girls, they're like dressed up in their Halloween costumes and whatever. I thought I knew where it was going, and then it went a different way than what I thought. Like, I thought that was going to be something different. So I watched that part, and I was like, when it came on, and I'm like feeling like I'm catching on. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then it was something else, and I was like, oh. And then afterwards, I realized, I'm like, okay, now I get the costume situation. Like, it made sense to me after that. But yeah, during the movie, I was like, what in the world? But anyhow, you just saw me taking Evil Eye from Ball Pit and doing the little patches. Sam on his little onesie outfit thing, costume. He does have a couple yellow patches on there, so that's what I was doing on the pinky and thumb, adding on those little patches. And then for the stitches on it, if you look at the movie and the patches on the movie, you don't see a black outline like you typically do whenever you see patchwork, like artwork or nail art or something. Everyone always outlines with black, but because I wanted to try and keep this set looking as close to the movie as possible, I decided to mix up a color here that was a little bit darker than the yellow that I used for the patches. I mixed in a little bit of the orange that I had used. I mixed in a little bit of the red that you can see on the other hand there. I think I mixed in a little bit of brown as well, maybe, just to darken it up a little bit. And I felt like it worked really well, and it looks really good with this set. And I feel like it makes more sense to have it like this than black. But like I said, typically with patchwork, you usually do black. And I've seen other people do trick-or-treat nails, and they have the black outline. And it still looks good with the black outline as well, but that just wasn't what I was wanting. So I just went around, outlined everything, and then did the little stitches. And I am curing for 60 seconds in between all of the colors, because I am adding colors on top of them, and I want to make sure that that bottom layer of color is fully cured before adding any other color on top. And for the patchwork nails, I did use a 12mm liner brush just because I was doing pretty large patches there, and it was just going to be a little bit easier to get them done with the 12mm instead of using a smaller liner brush. And now on the ring and pointer nail, I am writing trick or treat, give me something good to eat. Well, on the ring nail, I write that entire saying, trick or treat, give me something good to eat. To make it look like blood is like smeared down the wall, because that was that was in a scene in the movie. And that last clip there was me showing you that, like, whenever I do my own nails, I do have to stretch my hands out a lot, because they cramp up really bad and they get like really tight. I have like arthritis or something in my hands, carpal tunnel, something, I don't know. My hands, like, they hurt so bad whenever I'm doing my own nails like this. So that's why typically whenever I'm doing my own nails, I don't tend to hold them this way where they're folded up and facing me. I usually pretty much almost always do them facing away from me, just because I don't have to have my hands bent like this. and it's just a lot easier on my hands. Uh, I usually don't show that part whenever I do my own nails, and I like try and keep that out if I do have to do like this, but I did want to show that in this video just to show you guys, like, yeah, sometimes I do have to stop and like stretch my hands out because oh my gosh, they cramp up so bad and they hurt, and like it's just, oh, it's the worst. So anyhow, like I said, writing out trick or treat, give me something good to eat, because that is written on the wall in one scene of the movie. Um, and I wanted to do that. It's like written a bunch of times on the wall, so I was trying to do that. I wrote it kind of big, so that's why on the ring nail it says the full saying, and then on the pointer nail I was like, I do not want to write something again, because that is such a long word, and trying to get it to fit on the nail was so hard. So on the pointer nail I just did like good to eat at the top, so it's like the rest of it is above it, and then I put trick or treat down at the bottom like it was being written again on the wall. Here I am again stretching out my hand, like I said. They just hurt whenever I have to do my nails and I have to hold them like that for a long time. Like, I just can't hold them too long. But anyhow, yeah, just doing it like it was written on a wall a bunch of times, and then cure that for 60 seconds. And now I'm going in and adding that red polish onto some parts of the letters, because I am going to make it look like it's blood dripping down the wall, just like how it does in the movie. And when I first did this on my right hand, I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it. I thought I was just going to like take the red polish and just do some little squiggly lines, like paint them on myself, but I'm like, that's not gonna really give the look that I want, I don't think. I mean, I probably could have gotten it too if I would have like worked with it a little bit, but then I remembered seeing a video on Instagram, I think, or maybe it was TikTok, where this one girl, she did the 3D ghost design that's trending this year, and she acts like she forgot that she hadn't cured the eyes, so when she put her top coat on, it like smeared all down the nail, and I was like, ooh, I could do that to get that blood smeared dripping down the wall look. But then I was like, I don't really want to add another layer of polish onto this and make the nails thick. So I had the idea to take my ombre brush and just run it down over those letters to get that blood dripping down the wall effect. And it worked so well. Like, if you ever need to make it look like there's blood dripping down a wall or something, or you're writing out words in blood and they need to look like they're dripping down, I recommend doing that because it looks so good. And then I just took a 5mm liner brush and did some little like blood smudgies to make the wall kind of look dirty and like give some extra to it, because I just felt like those spots were a little bare and empty and I wasn't a huge fan of it. Then I went ahead, cured that for 60 seconds. Now I'm going in and painting Sam on my middle nail here. And I'm going in with the sketching gel from Ball Pit to do my basic outline of him. Honestly, I probably really didn't need to do this. I could have just gone in with the color blocking method instead of doing the outline, but also I'm kind of glad I didn't, because as you could see, I did have him done one way and I didn't like how it was looking, so I wiped it off and then redid it off camera, and it ended up looking a lot better the second time I did it. But like I said, I probably could have just gone in with the color blocking method and done it that way, because honestly, he wasn't really that hard to do. I definitely could have just done, the color blocking method for this. I've mentioned before, whenever doing character art, like, I can't really do the color blocking method where you just go in with your colors and just start painting it on. Like, you'll see sometimes Ball Pit or Nails by Dev or any of the girls on Instagram doing that. Like, they just go in and start painting it. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I have to have an outline to make sure everything is in proportion and everything. But I do feel like I easily could have done that with Sam. Now I'm just going in and painting his little sack that goes over his head. Also, seeing Sam without the sack, like when that scene came up, it startled me a little bit because I didn't know. I've only ever seen him with the sack on his head, and I was like, oh, okay. But also, he's still super cute without the sack on his head. He is super cute either way. I love him. Anyhow, this color that I'm using for the base of his sack is a mix of colors. Um, I'll have all of the colors that I used linked down below, but at this point I wasn't showing the colors anymore, and like showing all the color mixing that I was doing. So fun fact, it is 5:20 a.m. on Halloween, the day this video is going up. I have been up all night. It took me 8 hours to do these nails. I, in true Libby fashion, waited last minute to do something. Um, so I got to the point where I was like, I need to just try and hurry up and get this done, because I am trying really hard to get this done and up, but in time for it to go up at 3 like I usually do, or well, 3 Arizona time. I don't know what time it is wherever you guys are watching from, but yeah, I'm trying really hard to get this up in time. This is going to take a long time for me to get done. But like I said, it took me 8 hours just to paint all of this. And I was like, I got to just paint and not show any of the like color mixing or all of the different colors that I was using. I just got to go for it, because like I had over 2 hours worth of footage to go through. And this video, I was like, this video is going to be long. I'm going to have to speed it up a lot. I'm going to have to cut out quite a bit of stuff probably. I tried to only film when I was painting and not like sometimes I forget to hit record or forget to pause the recording as I'm like mixing up colors or curing or whatever, so I have all this extra footage that gets clipped out. So I was trying not to do that because I didn't want even more time added onto the video and have to do a whole bunch of editing and whatever. So yeah, you don't get to see me doing any of the color mixing or like what colors exactly I'm using anymore, but they are all linked down below as they always are. So if you are curious about what colors I used to do all this, it is linked down below, but it is all Ball Pit colors and Nails by Dev colors. I think for Sam's sack, it was all just colors from Ball Pit's character creator collection. It's like a bunch of shades of browns and nudes and stuff, which was perfect for doing Sam. So yeah, it's just all a bunch of different browns and like creams and nudes and stuff from that collection that I was doing or using. Uh, I did his base, and then I went in to try and create like that burlap sack texture. So I just did like what's it called? Cross hatching, I think, on his little sack there. So I did some vertical lines, and then I went in with horizontal lines. I started with a dark brown, then I went to a medium brown, then I went to like a cream color. I think I used glazed donut actually, for that cream color. And I did all that while it was all still wet. Well, the base color was fully cured, and then like all my little oh my gosh, cross hatching lines were all wet as I was doing them, just so I wasn't adding a million layers on to this nail. And then I would like go back and forth. So like I said, I started with the dark, then I went with a medium brown, and then my hair's there in the corner. Anyhow, then I went to the the lightest color. Oh, my glasses are in the corner now too. And then I just like I layered it like that first, and then I started going back and forth, adding on whatever color I felt like needed to be added on in certain areas and whatever, to try and get that sack, like the burlap sack look. Then I added a little patch onto his well, then I painted his little suit, cured that for 60 seconds. Then I did the little patch just like I did on the other nails. Here I am going in trying to do some shading to make him look a little more 3D and lifelike. I spent a long time trying to get this shading, and then I even like spent even more time off camera trying to get it, and I couldn't get it. It was annoying me so much. I ended up just wiping it off, and I'm like, I will deal with that later and figure that out later. Maybe I won't even need that, but I did end up doing it later on. I didn't do it on camera when I did it, but there is a little bit of shading there. You'll see it at the end, to where it looks like, an actual sack is, just to, give him a little more life. I was trying my best to do like a realistic 3D type of look with him, trying to make him look as close as I could to how he looks in the movie, but I'm also not really good at like photorealism. So he does still look pretty cartoonish in the end, but he has like, he looks a little 3D. Why is my dog barking? Hold on, I gotta go see what's going on with her. She had to go potty, which is weird because she's usually not up at this time. But anyhow, like I was saying, in the end, how I painted him, he does look cartoonish, but he also looks like a 3D-ish kind of cartoon. Because like I said, I'm not that great with photorealism, at least when it comes to like people and like characters and stuff. But if you want me to do like a still life of a perfume bottle, an orange, and a water bottle, like I can do that. Maybe not on nails. On paper for sure. Maybe on nails. I don't know. On paper I definitely could. But people, characters, the photorealism with that is not something I am quite capable of yet. And I may never be, who knows. But like I said, he does have a little bit of 3D qualities to him once I'm finished with him, which is what I wanted, because like I said, he is a real person, and like I was trying to make him look somewhat realistic and somewhat like how he looks in the movie. But yeah, not on that level of being able to do like photorealism. Um, there's a lot of parts where I am out of frame. I was not paying attention very much, and I was just like doing what I needed to do to get done. Also, if you do your own nails, you know, a lot of times you gotta hold your nail like all up in your face in order to see what you're doing and get stuff done. And on top of it, I wear glasses. I am blind, cannot see. So I really have to really hold my hand real close sometimes to see what I'm doing. Um, but also, I try really hard to stay in frame and make sure that I am in frame while doing all this so you guys can see what I'm doing. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. For the rope and the little like stitching part on his face, I mixed up a color. I used glazed donut and some other color I don't even remember. Mixed that up to create a lighter shade to create like the rope and the stitching and whatever. And then for or like the bunched up part on his little sack there. And then for the little zigzaggy stitch parts that I did, and the dark parts on the rope to look like an actual rope, I just mixed up a bunch of like the darker colors to get that darker look. Again, I cure for 60 seconds in between all of the colors because I am adding so many colors on top. I do want to make sure that those colors underneath are fully cured before adding a whole bunch of other stuff on top. Now I'm taking the black from Ball Pit, drawing on his little button eyes, and then for the thread on the buttons, I used the same color that I used on the rope and that like bunched up part on his sack that like creates his little face there. And then after I got the thread on his eyes done, I did go in and do the shading on like the bottom half of his sack there. I figured that out. I also outlined his head with a darker color to kind of give it more of a rounded look because he was looking kind of flat. And I don't know if you can kind of see there is some red splotches on there. I did add some blood splatter on that nail just because it was looking kind of empty and I wasn't liking it. I didn't do it on camera though because I wasn't sure like if I was actually going to go with it or not. I just wanted to see what it looked like without doing it on camera, and then I really liked it. So you'll see how I do that on this nail. Rare time to see me painting with my left hand. I usually don't show me doing this on my channel. There are a few videos on my channel where I do paint with my left hand, but I usually don't because it is quite the challenge because I am right-handed and then I have to hold my hand all kinds of weird ways and I have to hold it real close to my face. I have to hold Whenever I'm painting with my left hand, I do have to hold my right hand a lot closer to my face, usually than I do whenever I'm painting with my right hand, because, like I said, I'm right-handed, so it's a little bit of a mess when I'm painting with my left hand, which worked out really well when doing the writing. The blood writing, it made it look really sloppy and messy, which was exactly what I was going for. But anyhow, yeah, I don't usually show this because it's a struggle to actually film it and actually be in frame and everything. I think I did a pretty good job for this video, staying in frame while doing this. But yeah, I decided to show me doing this because this is a different design. I'm not doing Sam on this hand again. Oh my gosh, doing Sam on my right hand. If I did that, that would have... He already tried to take me out painting him with my right hand. Imagine me doing that with my left hand. Oh, I would have that would have been the end of me if I attempted to do that. But anyhow, I'm just doing his little sucker there. I used the same orange that I used on the other nails for the little stick, and then I forgot to paint on the black stripes on the stick, and I didn't realize it until after I got like the sucker head part on. I am using a jelly orange because I was like, oh, it'll give it that clear, like, sucker lollipop look to it. It really didn't because I'm using it over this opaque color, so it doesn't, it just looks like an opaque orange. um so it didn't really give the effect that I wanted, but it worked out because that was a really good orange to use for it. Yeah, so that scene right there that you just saw, um I did not like how I painted the sucker on at first, so I wiped it off to redo it, and that orange stained the base color. I've never had that happen before. I don't know what that was all about and like why that happened, but I thought that was interesting and thought I would show you guys that apparently that is a possibility where your jelly gel polish could stain your base color depending on if you put it over a base color or not. Um, yeah, I just thought that was weird. And then I redid it, and the way I repainted it, I did do it slightly larger than I did the first time, so you couldn't really see the original outline. There were a couple spots where you could, but it gets covered up in the end, and it wasn't like super noticeable either before I covered it up. So it really wasn't that big of a deal, but depending on what you're doing, that could be kind of a big deal. And I probably should have buffed it off before I went in and repainted it, but I was like, well, it'll end up getting covered up in the end, so I don't really care. Um, so got that repainted, cured it for 60 seconds. I also did the black stripes after I had wiped the first one off. And now I'm just going in with the black and doing the little jack-o'-lantern face on the sucker. So a little triangle for the eyes. And then to make it easier for me to do the mouth, I just did like a rectangle on the sucker part. And then I went in and did like the little triangle parts. Because if I were to like try and do it how I usually do with my right hand and like do the outline and then fill it all in, I just felt like that was going to be a bit of a disaster. So that was a lot easier to just do like the rectangle and then do the little triangles afterwards. So for the blood splatter and how I did that over on the Sam nail, I took one of these like brushes that you use to clean off your nails and just dipped it into the red. I used the same red that I used for the writing, and then I just dabbed it on the nail. I didn't like how it looked the first time, so I wiped it off and redid it. I just would dip it into the polish and then dab it on the nail in different ways. And I wasn't trying to smush it too hard because I didn't want to see like the brush strokes on it. On some of the parts, but then on other parts I was like, I did do it a little bit so it kind of looked like smeared and like actually like it had splattered across the nail a little bit. Um and I tried not to get too close to my skin because I didn't want to get that gel all over. So I did try my very best to stay away from my skin, and I would do like the very corner of the bristles up around like the cuticle area just to make sure I wasn't getting it all over my skin. And then I took a cleanup brush and some alcohol and just wiped all of the red that had gotten on the sucker part and the stick part. That way the blood was like in the background and the sucker is in the forefront. And I did that with Sam too. Like, there was the red all over his head and body. I had to clean that up as well. Now I'm just going in with the matte top coat from Nails by Dev and applying that to all of the nails, and then I do cure it for 60 seconds. And this is so unusual for me. If you've been around for a while or you've seen any of my other videos, then you know I typically always do shiny whenever I do my own nails. There have been a couple times where I have done matte on myself, but I really am not a huge fan of matte nails. There are some designs, like I've said before, there are some designs where I just feel like they look better matte as opposed to shiny, and I usually don't do those designs on myself because, like I said, I don't really like matte nails. But I felt like this design needed to be matte. I think just because I had the patchwork and then like the burlap sack that covers his head, like that all just would look better matte. So I went ahead, matte top coated all the nails, and this is the finished result. The Nails by Dev matte top coat, you do have to wipe it off, so you gotta take some alcohol and wipe that sticky layer off to get the matte effect and all that. If you've watched any of my other videos where I did matte nails, then you know that by now. But if you're new here, hi. You have to wipe off the Nails by Dev matte top coat. But I'm super, super, super happy with this set. I absolutely love it. I think it is so cute. It came out so well, and it looks so good being matte. Like I said, I personally prefer shiny, and it does look good shiny. Like, before I cured it with the the matte top coat, I was for half a second thinking of just wiping it off and going in with shiny, but I was like, no, this set needs to be matte. Like, it is going to look so good being matte, and I was right. It does look so good. Even the blood, I know typically you want to do blood shiny because, you know, blood is wet and shiny, but it works really well for this set being matte, and I'm so proud of it. I'm super proud of Sam and how he came out. Like, I have been really proud of myself this year with my Halloween sets. I just feel like they all came out really well, and this has been some of my best work yet. With some of the sets that I have been doing, and I've really seen a lot of improvement in myself just in this month of videos here. So I'm super proud of myself. I don't usually toot my own horn too much, but like, I'm going to, because this was a lot to do, and I'm super happy with how everything came out. I'm finally done. I had a lot of fun doing this, but it took a lot of work. And so, yeah, I'm just glad to finally be done with it, and I can move on and, you know, do my normal uploading schedule of Wednesday and Saturday. But, yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great Halloween. Stay safe, have fun, and eat lots and lots of candy. Also, I'm going to be taking a tiny little break, so my next video won't be up until November 8th, so I'll talk to you guys then.